Alright, hey guys, it's Steve again, Interglobal Comics. We're going to do a market report here. This is kind of like a mid-August, report, mid to late August, I guess. Before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to someone that watches the show, Rob at Instagram account Foreign Comic Keys. He says he enjoys the show, disagrees with me a lot of the time, but agrees with me a lot of the time. So you got to respect that. There's a lot of different opinions going on, with these foreign comics, and everyone's, everyone's totally free to interpret everything how they want to, and it's all for fun. But yeah, check out his Instagram. I think he's starting some sort of foreign comic business, selling books. Foreign Comic Keys on Instagram. He says I sound like Jim from The Office when I do these market reports, so I'd like some input on that, whether or not I sound like Jim. Possibly I do, possibly I don't. I have no idea. All right, here we go. First up, we got some Brazilian keys. We got X-Men 266, a little digest-sized book, sold for $60. Not a bad deal. These aren't terribly hard to find, but that's probably going to be about the going rate unless you're buying from a source directly in Brazil. I think they're going to range anywhere from $40 to $60, maybe even a little bit more for a high-grade copy. Let's see. Let me turn my airplane mode on here. There we go. All right. And next we have Sandman 1, the Brazilian edition. This was kind of recently made famous. Neil Gaiman says that I guess Brazil was the first to really embrace the Sandman comics, and that they really did a good job putting these comics in print and high quality printing. I think that's kind of giving these books a boost, because probably these weren't really even selling before all that. A few more Brazilian keys. $43 for the ASM 300 Brazilian with the different cover, and then $47 for the Ultimate Fallout 4. For whatever reason, that Brazilian Ultimate Fallout 4 just has never been really a strong seller. I think it's a cool book, and trying to find one in high grade from Brazil is going to be really difficult. I think I looked at the CGC census recently, and of all the Ultimate Fallout 4 foreign editions, the Brazilian is the only one that doesn't have a 9.8. So, it'd be pretty cool for someone to get that 9.8 eventually. Here we've got some Golden Age Brazilian comic, or a Golden Age Brazilian comic. I don't really know much, honestly, about the Golden Age stuff. It's not really kind of my wheelhouse, but there's obviously a lot of money in it. This book sold for $1,500, plus $65 shipping from Brazil. Obviously pretty low grade, or at least the staples are totally blown out and rusted out. But from 1944, pretty sweet Superman cover. I feel like anytime there's Superman and a train on the cover, it's always going to be a popular book for some reason. We've got a Greek Spider-Man or Spider-Woman 1 from 1986. Sold for $45. Just kind of a classic kind of B-list hero, I would say. Has a kind of, I guess, a cult following. Not her first appearance, but this is the one that the majority of the country's printed. Another Venom Lethal Protector Platinum from Italy. This one looks pretty nice. Sold for $280. And here's one still sealed, although the bag is ripped, but it still has that phone book in it, and that one sold for $310. So yeah, I think I've had one of these on the market report probably for at least 3 or 4 straight market reports. So these things are selling pretty consistently, and somebody's making some good money on these. This is I believe this is Italian. This is Famous Funnies 213. The Frazetta cover was used on this. I think it's just like a comic magazine. I'm not even sure if it has comics inside. I think it's more of a magazine, but just kind of a cool, use of that cover. Different coloring with that purple going on, and the kind of the crazy looking title font from 1977. So this one sold for $70. This is Fantastic Four number 4 from Italy. I've talked about this one before. This one includes, the Italian books contain 2 stories inside, and this one includes Fantastic Four number 4 and number 5. So it has first appearance of Doctor Doom in it and the first Silver Age Namor. And it's kind of cool that they have that little kind of like picture of Doctor Doom on the cover there. So it's not a full cover. There is no full cover of Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four number 5 in Italy. Just that little kind of snippet there on the cover. But that sold for $109. So not a bad sale. German edition Hulk 181. This was printed in '99, so it's not a vintage book. This one sold for $99, and I feel like these have been selling around $100 for the last 5 years. So there's just they're just not making that much gains. The thing you do need to look for is that there is a gold seal version, which is more rare, but it's kind of just like a cheesy gold seal on it. But those tend to sell for a premium in Germany. I haven't really seen that they've gotten much more money in America, but so those are the more rare version of the German Hulk 181. Spider-Man 129 from Germany. First Punisher sold for $134 at auction, so that's a pretty strong result. It looks like a pretty nice copy. This one's just kind of a cool book, classic cover, and I think the thing that sets it apart is that the flame or the burst, flame burst coming from Punisher's gun is green, which is just kind of funky and different. This one went pretty cheap. Fantastic Four 52, first appearance of Black Panther, sold for $69. It was pretty weak sale. Pretty sure I've seen those sell for over $100 in the past. So I'm not sure if maybe it was just kind of low grade or what the deal with it was, or just Black Panther is just not really getting the fans that he once had. Because the character, there's not much of a future in the MCU. I guess we'll find out what's going to happen here soon. But $69 seems pretty cheap. So this is that same fake Fantastic Four 48. The person that bought it reached out to me, I think on my last video, and said that he canceled his sale once he realized that it wasn't an actual comic, it was a bootleg. So then I guess that seller then put it up at auction, and somebody still overpaid and paid $131 for it. I would think this should be probably like a $50 book. So hopefully they too realize that this is not a actual book from 1967, I think it was. That's what PGX put on the label, but it's a modern bootleg reprint. So here's the actual German comics. Fantastic Four 48, 49, 50, and 47. Some look in decent shape, some look a little more rough, but all together sold for under $150. So that's, to me, I didn't even look it up, but that's still seems extremely cheap. This is the second time that Fantastic Four 48 was printed in Germany, so I think that is one reason it takes a hit, as well as Fantastic Four number 50, the Silver Surfer cover. Both of those had earlier prints in Germany, so these are technically later prints. Pretty strong sale for this giant size X-Men one from 1999. It's a more recent print, just kind of like almost like a German language facsimile, but still a great looking book and a cool book and a must have if you're building the set. And it's sold for $74, so that's pretty good price for a not that old book. This was another Punisher that sold. This one went for $170. Punisher or Spider-Man 129 from Germany. This one says it's near mint condition. Does look pretty nice. But yeah, 170. You know, these are getting up there. It's a pretty good price. $3 shipping. Hopefully, at that price, the seller will upgrade it to at least first class, because hopefully no one's paying that much and getting their book shipped media mail. And just to show you how things kind of slide through, so you saw that giant size X-Men 1 from Germany sell for $75, and here's one, a giant, or just a X-Men 1 from the same run, printed in 1999, sold for $1.20. This was in the UK, so maybe that's why maybe not many people saw it, but that's a steal. You wouldn't be able to get that from Germany at that price. Same thing, I think this is a different seller, but these are also more of the German reprints. Multiple keys, went for very cheap. So, yeah, it seems like these more of the modern prints, you know, kind of hit and miss. Some go for more money, some go way too cheap. But these went pretty cheap. This is the French Canadian Star Wars #2. This is Editions Heritage, sold for $60. You know, looks pretty nice condition. You don't really see these French Canadian Star Wars books, you know, up for sale very often. So, you know, cool looking book. And someone's, you know, surely building that run, and they just needed this one. This is a 9.8 of the Spanish Dr. Aphra, Darth Vader 3, first appearance, signed by the artist, and you know, $200. It's pretty good price, and I guess honestly for the Spanish edition, you know, it's probably pretty tough to get a 9.8. So, you know, this would probably be pretty cheap, I guess. You know, to be signed a 9.8 and to be, you know, something that's not easy to get in a 9.8, you know, probably could have sold it for more, but also, you know, Darth Vader 3 is kind of in a lull. You know, 9.8s were going for, you know, big money just last year, and since nothing's really gotten announced with her in it, you know, prices have come down big time. This was a sale, $5,000 for a Daredevil #1 from Mexico, La Prensa. I don't know. There's been several of these real big sales for La Prensa Daredevil #1s, and there was kind of a discussion about it, how these are the most, you know, the most prevalent of the La Prensa #1 big keys. And there does seem to be more of these than others. You know, not to say that there's a lot of them, you know, compared to like American comics, but this one seems to come up for sale the most. And I talked about how at one point I had 5 of them. I got lucky and I picked every single one up from the same seller in Spain. That they must have just been sitting on a stack of them. So I bought 5 of them. I only paid, I think, $75 a piece for them, and you know, I think I sold 3 for around $300 a piece, and then I traded one to John Z and kept the nicest one. So $5,000, that's a lot of money. And you know, what makes me question it is, I think I talked about in the last video, I hadn't, or maybe I didn't, but I discussed it in the foreign comic group. I had put a 6.5 CGC Daredevil 1 Mexican on eBay with the you know, buy it now price at, I think, $2,900. 6.5 is the highest on the CGC Census, so it's top of the Census. Asked $2,900 or a best offer, and didn't get a single offer on it, didn't get a single email question about it, and didn't get any messages about it. So that kind of makes me suspect of all these sales. You know, when the market's now down a little bit, you know, why are all of a sudden these Daredevil 1s selling for big money? But who knows? If it's a legit sale, you know, that's awesome. I'm glad to have. I still have a 6.5 with white pages in my personal collection. It's hopefully one day someone breaks 6.5, because there's, I think, 5 6.5s on the CGC Census, and they are all, it's just strange that there's 5 of them, and nothing has broken above 6.5 yet. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Ultimate Fallout 4, the La Mole Mexican, has multiple remarks on it. This is sold for $535. It was a 9.6. So here is a Russian books that went to auction. I'm not sure why. And some of these Russian books have been selling for $75, $80, over $100. This guy just kind of made the mistake of putting them up at auction, and they went real cheap. That Tales of Suspense 39, they only did one run of those, and it was right in the very beginning of when they started reprinting like these big Marvel keys, and so I would think that there aren't a lot of those, because they didn't reprint them over and over again like they did with AF-15 and Hulk 181. So that was a steal for $6.98 for that one. Yeah, the other ones, those are super cheap as well compared to more recent sales. Werewolf by Night 1. This is Australian, the Yaffa. It's one for $135. These Yaffa keys are really, really hard to track down. Even the Australian guys are struggling to get them. So basically any number 1 is gonna sell for decent money. And Darth Vader 3 from Brazil, going super cheap at $14. This is one I was bidding on. I really wanted that Hulk number 2. This is from Israel. So this is kind of just these are real hard to find books. The Hulk number 1 from this run is extremely hard to find, and commands a pretty good amount of money. I've had a guy offer me $2,000 for my CGC 4.0 Israeli Hulk 1, and I declined it. Not because of, I feel like more more than a healthy offer. I just don't want to sell it. I just think these Israeli books are cool. Pretty low grade Silver Surfer 4 from Brazil, and this is the second time Silver Surfer 4 was printed in Brazil. There was a earlier one that was published, I believe, in the 70s or maybe early 80s, and this one I think is from the 90s, but sold for a decent amount, $31. All right, so this was the kind of the big, huge sale that everyone was talking about. This is actually a guy on Instagram that was selling this. He reached out, I think, to a few different foreign comic collectors, just kind of asking questions about this Horwitz Daredevil 1, and then he listed it for sale on eBay. So, smart, he kind of gathered the information before, trying to sell it. And this is a kind of a real rare book. Very few people have one of these. Beautiful cover, done by a Australian artist, and went for, in terrible condition, went for $1,700. I think this is the first one I've ever seen come to market as long as I've been collecting foreign. So, for as rare as it is, I think that price maybe isn't that bad. That'll probably get, I don't know, maybe a 0.5 or, and I think it's complete, so maybe a 1.0, if you got it graded by CGC, maybe like a 1.5. It's hard to tell how bad it is, but it's still, you're probably, sitting with a group of maybe 10 people that own this book. So, pretty cool book. Definitely a grail for Daredevil collectors. Another Australian. This is, I believe this contains, it contains Flash 123. Just kind of a different cover. This is from Australia, sold for $7. And here we had a really low grade copy, and this was a Italian eBay auction. So this wasn't even American eBay, where things tend to sell for more. But this was Italian eBay, super rough copy, tape on the spine, of this AF-15 Italian edition. It doesn't contain the AF-15 on the inside. It's a different. I think it contains. I can't remember which story, but it's a later Spider-Man story. But it sold for $100. So in that condition, that was a great price. I think this is a book where the American buyers haven't really caught up to the Italian market. I think the Italians go crazy for this book, and eventually, Americans, the prices in America are going to have to rise because people aren't going to be able to get this book. And this is the only foreign edition that uses the actual original Amazing Fantasy 15 art. And this, I guess, is actually the unedited art. A friend told me, I think I mentioned it before, where the web, like the rope, goes across his body and whips around. That was actually supposed to be on the cover, and then they edited it, I guess, before they released the cover. So this is the unedited Amazing Fantasy 15 cover. This, I think, had a lot of people scratching their head. Night Nurse 1, Yaffa, went for $350. Pretty low grade. I don't know anything about Night Nurse. I don't know what an American copy would go for, but I don't think it would even go anywhere near this copy. But like I said, these Yaffas are really hard to find. Never thought I'd see a Night Nurse 1 Yaffa go for this much money, but here we are. I think I talked about that one already. Talked about that one. All right, so we've got another Yaffa key. First appearance of Madam Web. Went for $41. I don't know much about Madam Web. I know there's a movie coming out, but that's about all I know. So, I'll hold my judgment about this. I mean, $41, I guess, doesn't seem like a bad deal. But, not the coolest looking character I've ever seen. Luke Cage, Hero for Hire 1, the Italian edition. This looks like it was a private sale. Pretty nice looking copy. Sold for $45, which seems pretty cheap. People have been importing these for a while, including myself, and I think you used to be able to get them for $10, $20 on Italian eBay, or even sometimes less than that. And they've been pretty much selling for about $50 for as long as I've been collecting. So I think the seller could have definitely probably asked some more money and gotten it. This didn't make any sense to me at all. I'm not really sure why this sold for so much. I think the best offer was, I think, $850 or $899, something like that. 9/8 Venom Lethal Protector 1, but not the platinum cover, just a regular red cover. So this is like just kind of like the basic version in Italy. Sold for that much money, which seems a little crazy. And people, you gotta be careful when people use this, one of one or only one on the CGC census, because that's just kind of, when it comes to foreigns, it's almost every foreign is gonna have a very tiny, CGC census. I think I own several books where I'm the only one on the census that has that book, and I guess that's great and all, but eventually it's gonna change, and there's gonna be more added. It has more to do with not that many people grade their foreigns as it does that the books are that rare. So if this is the only one on the CGC census, it's because no one really cared enough to submit it to CGC. Not so much that it's crazy rare. You could go pick this book up off Italian eBay for less than $20 right now. Obviously it's, to get it in 9/8, that's going to be difficult. But, I think for $850, you could probably buy, tons of copies and just hope and pray you get one 9/8 and sell off the rest. But, that everyone's different. Some people just really want that 9/8 and are willing to spend the extra money to get it. So this was probably a huge Venom fan that just really needed it, wanted it, and they bought it. So, to each their own. I'm sure that seller was very happy with that sale. Here we've got a La Prensa from Mexico, the Avengers. This is, I think, Avengers 2? Or no, 3? I don't know, it's one of the early Avengers. It was in the Spider-Man run, but this sold for $96. Pretty good deal. I think probably that seller could have sold it for more if they didn't run it as an auction, because it does look like it's in pretty nice condition. Here's one of those Spider-Man wedding issues that was printed in Germany, and then they translated it into English. Kind of like a bootleg book, but cool book, and it's only English translation of that comic. This one sold for $80. This is the French, I think Belgium or French, first appearance of Smurfs. The Spiro 1071 from 1958, sold for almost $400. So it's pretty strong price for that book. I'm not sure how popular Smurfs are these days, but these seem to be pretty steady sellers. So yeah, somebody's looking for them, somebody's collecting them, because 24 bids for almost $400. Yeah, that's pretty strong. What If 10, What If Jane Foster Became Thor. This is the French edition. This one sold for $73. I believe this is I'm not sure if it's digest size or not, actually. But $73 seems like a pretty high sale for this, especially after the movie has already come and gone, kind of. So yeah, somebody just wanted it, and for $73, you could probably honestly. Yeah, if you hunted eBay France, you could probably buy this for less than $10. But that requires a lot of effort, and some people just they don't want to do their own hunting. They'd rather just buy off plain American eBay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Another French Canadian. I don't really know much about this book, but it went for a decent amount of money, $170. And $20 shipping from Spain. So, pretty solid price. I'm not exactly sure why it sold for so much. It says it's a TREASURY edition, so it must be some sort of special edition. It does look like extra large, so we'll have to do a little research on that one. Real solid price for a Greek Spider-Man 1. I've never seen one sell for this much. I think the most I've ever seen them sell for is right around 100, 150 for a decent copy, but 173.50, it's pretty good deal. 13 bids. So and this is the first print of the Greek Spider-Man 1. There are 2 different printings, so you got to just kind of learn. There's like a red letterbox at the bottom of the you can kind of just barely see it there, but that is the difference. That means that's the older version. So you gotta, and also the older versions tend to have a glossier cover, while the newer, not that it's that much newer. I think this one's from 1982 and the newer one's from 1985. So it's really not that far apart. But the newer one has more of a flat cover, flat texture to it. Some Australian vintage Superboy comics sold. Some went high. This one sold for $100. It looks pretty nice condition. And a few other ones actually sold pretty cheap, so I'm not really sure, if some of these are keys I just don't know about or what, but that went for $102. And this was a Fantastic Four number 5 from Spain, printed in 1968 with an original cover on it. This is, I believe, by Rich, I think his name is. So it's not Lopez Espy, but another artist that did these kind of digest size covers. And he does like a great portrait style cover. But that one sold for $170. So that was a real strong sale. I don't think I've ever seen one sell for quite that much. But these are getting harder and harder to find on the Spanish market. And finally, this Batman 1. It's only a cover. This is like a bootleg printed in Indonesia in the 1980s. But this is kind of confusing because Josh, International Comics, was saying that this sold for $150, and when I looked it up on eBay, even using like what's it called, 130 Point is the website that's supposed to show you the actual sale price, but he was like, oh no, this guy, he offered 150 and the guy sold it. And I was like, really? I was like, because the eBay says it sold for 800. So then I looked at another thing called Terra Peak. It's like it's offered on eBay, and you can see that this actually did only sell for $150. So that makes me kind of question, some of the sales, like why does this say it sold for 800 when it actually sold for 150? But no matter what, shout out to the person that got this for $150, because that's insane. You probably couldn't buy this from a seller in Indonesia for less than $500 or more. So to get that Batman 1 cover for $150 was a steal. This one had been sitting on eBay for probably about a year now, and I thought about making an offer, but I was gonna maybe offer 500 or 300, thinking he probably wouldn't take it, and then to see that he took the offer for 150, that's just crazy to me. But this guy must have needed money, and it's a very cool book. I can't remember what is inside the guts. I think it's I can't remember, but just a cool redrawn cover. I love these Batman books from Indonesia. I've got quite a few of the bootleg, painted covers, and they're just cool books. They tend to be low grade, but definitely hard to find. There's plenty of guys in Indonesia right now searching for these, and they're not coming up with much. So I think that. Oh no, this is my last one. This is Tomb of Dracula 10, German edition, sold for $150. Looks like decent condition book. These were going crazy for a little bit. Maybe they're coming back to earth now. This one doesn't look like super high grade. Looks like the corner's kind of crunched there, but sold for $150. So that seems like a good sale. For me, for the buyer and seller, they're both probably, they're both happy with that. And Blade is coming soon in the MCU, so these could pick up some more steam. We'll have to see. But this is one of the more fun cover sets, I think, to build. I think I have completed it. I'm not 100% sure. I gotta take a look. But yeah, this one and Marvel Spotlight 5, like more of those kind of terror genre, horror genre Marvel characters. They there aren't a ton of them. Like tons of different countries didn't print them. So to me, it's fun to make a set that's actually completable. So this one, is not too bad to make. So if you wanted to do one, I think there's only 6 or 7 different versions. All right. I think I've rambled for long enough. Hope you guys have a good night. See ya.